Hey everyone, it's Hayley Herms. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here for another story time, and I guess this is something I thought a lot of people knew about me, but I guess not, because I've mentioned it a few times lately to my friends, and my friends were like, you have to story time this. So let's get started. This is the story time about how I talked to the dead, when I found out, all that fun stuff. So here we go. Grab some tequila, grab some popcorn, whatever you need, because this shit gets crazy. So I first learned I could talk to the dead when I was 12 years old at musical theater camp. And basically this musical theater camp was held in this theater auditorium that was above like an old church. And I always got like a really weird energy from it. And like at that age, like I didn't obviously know that I had the abilities to talk to the deceased, but I had just really started feeling energies and intuition. And one day I was in this back room and they didn't really want us to go in this particular room. And so I was just like, I gotta go in the room. So one day I was just, on lunch break, and I was like, I gotta get something. So I went back to this room, and all of a sudden, like, I'm gonna try to explain it, but it's like really hard to explain it, but I just felt this like overwhelming male energy in the room. And I like looked around because like I thought maybe someone was in the room. The light was like ironically twitching, like it was like a creepy room. And so I'm looking in this corner and I see I don't see a full body, but I see like a man's face. It wasn't like some big floating head, but it looked like it belonged on like a body. And from there, like the spirit was just kind of like saying hi to me. It was so weird. I like kind of thought I was crazy. And then later that day, we were on stage blocking a number, and one of my friends was right next to me, a little bit forward, so like I could see her perfectly and clearly. And all of a sudden something came in and just like fucking pushed her over. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it was the male ghost energy. And so I was like, this is so weird. Like I know that there's something here. So my grandma picks me up from this musical theater summer camp, and I'm sitting in the car, and like as a kid and still today, we all know like I don't really have a filter. And so I literally just started talking to my grandma. I was like, Grandma, like I think like I can communicate with spirits or like ghosts or something like that. And she was like, oh, I know, I can do it too. And I literally was like shook, was like, what? So my grandma's like smoking her cigarette, going on about like the last time she like talked to a dead person. And I'm just like, I feel like this is not something you keep from your family. Like I know I'm 12, but like what? So I go home and I tell my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I can talk to dead people. My grandma can talk to dead people. And she was like, all the cool things skip me. She's like, you talk to dead people, grandma can talk to dead people, you sing, grandma sings. She's like, what do I have? And I'm like, Mom, like the point here is a bitch can talk to the dead. So from there, I was just like very interested and started doing more research online. And back then, it wasn't like there was no like spiritual new age stuff. It was like if you did anything like kind of magic related, people like automatically like assumed you were like a Satanist or like fucking deranged or psycho or whatever. So like when I told people I could talk to the dead, it was always like, prove it, prove it. So by the time I got in high school, me and a couple of my friends at the time we weren't like on Ouija boards. Like I still to this day, I'm like super against Ouija boards. I do not recommend it at all. But we were calling in spirits with seances. So we would do seances in my house, in my backyard, and sometimes spirit would come through, sometimes they wouldn't. And over the time, I had talked to this dead little boy from the 20s. I had talked to angry spirits. Like I had communication of spirits of all natures. But then When I was 16, things got a little out of hand. So one day my dad comes home like boiling mad, but he was like always angry. So it was like, what's new? And he's like, God damn it, Hayley. He's like, you need to stop this shit. And I was like, stop what? And he's like, all your little spell bullshit. My dad grew up like religious. So both my parents did. My mom was like a hardcore Catholic and my dad converted to Catholicism for my mom. So he was like very much like, this is not holy, something's weird going on here. And I kind of didn't believe it at first. Like I just thought he was just bitching to bitch about something. But then one day my mom, like not even, like a few days later, my mom came up to me and was like, you are not allowed to do seances here. Do not talk to dead people. Don't call on them. Don't talk to spirit. She's like, whatever you do, shut it down now. I was shook. So apparently what had been happening, and I didn't believe it at first, but then one night my two friends that I had been doing the seances were sleeping over and I had gone to bed, and my dad always gets up at work for around like 3 or 4 a.m. or that's what time he leaves for work. So he gets up around 2:30, by 3:30 he's leaving. And if you didn't know, 3 a.m. is the witching hour. You can go look that up. But that's when a lot of magic things come alive, supposedly. And so apparently a few nights in a row, back to back, my dad would be in the kitchen, and one day the door that led to the kitchen, to the living room, slammed shut, like out of nowhere. And my friends were there and saw it, and like everyone looked at each other like, what the fuck happened? Then another night, so that's when I started believing it though, was when my friends saw it happen. I was like, okay, maybe it's real. One night my dad was downstairs making coffee and all the cupboards started like slamming shut and opening, slamming, and that was like the final cap on it, and my parents were like, no more. So I stopped doing things at home, but we would like go to graveyards and try to like call on the spirits and like do things there. But at this point, people were using me more as like a party trick, like this girl can talk to dead people, more so than like I was just using my gift to give it as a gift to other people to communicate with loved ones. But I was like, I guess you would say like abusing my gift. So at that point, my mom was like very upset, and it was like very serious, and she really just wanted me to completely shut it down. So when you have these kinds of gifts and ability, you essentially are doing things with your third eye, your intuition, spirit talks to you. And I basically asked spirit and I shut down my third eye to the world. Weird things started happening around the house to me, to my brother, and for about 3 months, we realized that I had welcomed in a couple demons. And so for about 3.5 months, me and my friends worked endlessly between spells, prayers, chants, healing products to get those demons out of the house. Luckily we were, and they all left. It took months and months and months. So from there, I was almost a little scared too, because the things started happening to me, but they would never harm me or do things to me, but to everyone around me. So I just completely shut it off. Then when I was around 19, I decided like, look, a bitch needs to learn how to hone her gifts. So I started getting open to the idea and not shutting it out anymore, but there was no complete way for me to like, I just didn't want to shut it off. I felt like I had a gift and I wanted to use it. So that's when I learned about light magic, white magic, and I started practicing white magic with angel cards, oracle cards, fairy cards, just all the new age spiritual stuff. And from there, I found a community of people that could help me not only hone my gifts, but strengthen them. So I felt like I finally had a community where I could be in a safe place and work with safe spirits and, you know, just get my messages across to people safely. By the time I was in college, like I said, around 19, I was getting messages like all the time. Now that I had reopened the portal, I would be like sitting in college class and be like, I have to tell that girl in the third seat in the front row something, like spirit is telling me. But it wasn't like I was talking to the dead anymore. I was also just getting messages from spirit. So I would sometimes, like one time I got a message for someone's grandmother and she cried and cried because her grandmother had just died. I had no idea, and I gave her a message that I got, and it was crazy. I just was having all these crazy experiences, and like it was very validating that I had that gift. But then skipped to my mom passed away when I was 22, and that was that was very life-changing, because now that I had a loved one, but especially my mother that had been passed away, I knew there was no way that I could escape this gift anymore, and it was just gonna happen. And so after my mom passed away, I had 3 different instances where my mom came to me in full form. The first time she came to me, it was like as if she was standing right in front of me and I could touch her. And it was the day or two, it was like the second day after she had passed away. And when people pass away, you know, your spirit just doesn't fly away and out of your body. There is levels that you have to get out of, so you don't just go from here to the universe. There's a process, I guess you would say, for the dead. So my mom hadn't quite crossed over. Of course, it was only 2 days after her passing. And when I saw her, like, I just bawled my eyes out, was like screaming. And my boyfriend at the time was like, oh, this is natural, like her mom just died. And I was like, no, like I saw her. She was here. So I was so scared and upset because I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe months later I'd get a message from my mom or something, but I wasn't expecting that. The second time she came to me, I was just like I cried again and I was upset. And I thought to myself, like, my mom's not gonna keep coming to me if I get upset and cry. Every time she comes, she's gonna think like I don't want her around. So after the second time of seeing her and then crying and that whole thing happened again, I was just like, okay, we're just gonna like fully like let go here. So the third time I saw my mom, I actually like hugged her, and it was like literally like if I had like hugged her human body. But it also worried me a lot that she hadn't transitioned, that I could see her in such full form. Luckily now I know she is completely crossed over. When I talk to her, it's through spirit, it's through what's the word? It's through, when I see my mom now, I see her through spirit. I talk to her through synchronicities. So things happen where I know she's around, and I pray to her, and prayers are always answered. So spirit and ghosts are very much alive and here. And I feel really glad and happy that I do have this gift and that I can share it with the world. And I'm just happy that I've come to an age and a point in my life where it's controlled. I feel safe giving messages from the dead or from spirit, and it's a cool gift, and I thought I would share that with people because it kind of shocks people. But yeah, my whole life I have been talking to the dead. That is today's story time about how I talk to the dead. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know below in the comments what your favorite part or most shocking favorite part of the story was. Let me know below if you talk to the dead. Have you ever tried to talk to the dead? What do you guys think about that? I want to know all your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time for the next video.